The topics of business analytics is dear to my heart. Excuse me. I spent most of my career in this field, but what's changed the most over the years is the nature of the tools used to process the data and the nature of the data itself. This used to be a world where a few highly skilled operatives ran the analytics, but this has changed into a world where most people are beginning to use new technologies to enhance their career, and in fact, it's becoming more and more requirement or required talent of employees. The term business analytics is getting a lot of sort of uneven coverage in the press these days. It's often confused with data analytics. While data analytics is accomplished with sophisticated mathematical analysis, business analytics is a very broad term that uses data analytics and other tools to develop actual decisions or recommendations for business decision making. Business analytics is inherently quantitative nature and examines data with a variety of tools and techniques. It formulates descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive models, and it communicates these results to organizational decision makers. Business intelligence has been defined as a broad category of applications, technologies, and processes for gathering and storing, accessing, and analyzing data. And this helps business users make better decisions. Depending on who you read, these terms can often be used interchangeably. Takeaway here is that there are lots of great tools that allow us to do a good job in business decision making. These tools don't replace experience and common sense, but they help to affirm both. One of the most important jobs of a manager is to make decisions. Some are good at it, some not so much. With the volume and types of data available to manage today, it's increasingly difficult to make good decisions without the benefit of data analysis. Information systems have the potential to provide extraordinary decision support tools that weren't available just a few years ago. The challenge is for managers to be able to supplement their old or traditional ways of doing things with the advantages given through decision support technologies we have today. Best known practices are all evolving around the field of business analytics, and it's rapidly changing the face of business management. Successful managers in the coming years will learn to function well in all their roles. The list on this page is high level, but it points to a variety of roles that managers must play. Most managers have people that report to them. There are thousands of books providing the best known methods on the topics of interpersonal relationships with employees. Good decision making goes flat without a team of people to follow and implement them. Managers need to develop leadership skills that allow them not only to make good data-driven decisions, but also to bring their team along for the ride. Managers are also responsible for passing information from employees to upper management and back again. Being a reliable and consistent source of solid information gains much needed credibility for the manager. So we've talked about before, managers are increasingly being pressed to make good decisions based on solid data. Making a decision implies that there are multiple choices. The chances of selecting the right path can be greatly enhanced by consulting accurate and relevant data. This graph shows a simple process for decision making that is likely how you might approach decision making in your day-to-day world. However, the first question is not all that easy to answer in complex settings of business. We need to take care in understanding problems thoroughly, and that means we need to be generous in understanding the problems from the points of view of all the stakeholders. Making assumptions that are not supported by the facts can derail the entire decision-making process. Once the problem is clearly understood and is in alignment with the facts, we need to survey the possible alternatives approach to the solution. Here's where our biases often trip us up. We are biased towards solutions that we're familiar with and ones which have worked for us in the past. Good decisions require that we set our biases aside and do a practical sweep of the alternative choices. Most options have something to recommend them. Be honest about the pros and cons of each. Use practical criterion for choosing the right option, and it's likely going to be flowing very easy in your process. However, once we choose and implement our solution, we must be monitoring it for results. All of us might make mistakes in judgment. Good decisions are being made, and it's not about eliminating all weak choices, but more about changing course once we've discovered the weaknesses in our choice. This concept is important when it gets down to our project management courses. Simply put, managers need IT in the decision-making process because the choices are becoming increasingly complex and we have less time to make decisions. All decisions have an element of uncertainty. If we don't have uncertainty, well, let's face it, then there's not really a choice to make. We can use some forms of groupthink to help us identify the factors and the alternatives, but in the end, it is the role of the manager to make the decision. Information systems are great at providing a wide range of data in a way that people can see and understand the patterns in the data. This slide effectively shows the range of choices managers must make. Some decisions are routine and take little creative thought. These are called structured problems. Structured problems are those decisions with which we have lots of practice, and they're relatively simple to make usually. Unstructured problems are those one-off situations that force us into uncharted waters. Here we have to rely on our decision-making processes to find a good solution. Semi-structured problems fit somewhere in between these two streams. The other thing this chart points out is that managers need to make decisions across several domains, we call them. Operational decision-making focuses on the day-to-day duties that are considered the core activities of the organization. Operations where the company is making their money from. Now, there are some purely management type controls that must be exercised to keep the organization running smoothly. These might include hiring of employees, approving budgets, requesting resources. Now, there's also long-range planning or strategic planning that must be exercised to make sure the organization is going in the right direction. Each of these problem domains takes different skills and different forms of decision supporting data. We've been talking a lot about how managers need to address the problem-solving process within the organization. So let's switch gears and focus on the data processing part of decision-making. Although good managerial experience is important, it's often not enough to support the types of decisions being made in business today. Collecting and processing of the relevant data is becoming critical to a successful organization. This slide might seem a bit complicated, but it's just saying that we collect information from our day-to-day activities and then organize the data in such a way that we can use it to make strong decisions going forward. In this diagram, we take all the external sources of data and send them through a filtering process called, if you remember, extract, transform, and load, or ETL. This is coded in such a way that we clean the data up so that the useless stuff is discarded and the important stuff is formatted in a special database we call a data warehouse. We discussed this a chapter or two ago. After loading this multi-source data into a highly structured persistent data storage, we can use a variety of tools to look at this data in a variety of ways. We can then apply statistical mathematics to this newly envisioned data to help provide insights we need. We hope it makes sense that all the best data in the world is not much use if we don't ask the right questions. Analytical modeling tools allow us to query the data to extract the answers we need. Finally, we need to do something actionable with what we learn. Going through all the trouble of getting deep insights into data won't be of value if we don't do something practical with what we learned. The purpose of this slide is to point out that there's a wide variety of tools available to the business analysts. Excel spreadsheets to massive parallel processing systems running highly specialized software. The key for managers is to hire smart people and ask them to explore smart questions using the right tools. There's one side note, survey after survey shows that one of the biggest talents employers want to have from new hires is solid understanding of Excel. Now, descriptive analytics helps summarize what has happened in the past. The idea is that if managers understand the past, they can figure out what to do now. Predictive analytics takes this one step further by using past outcomes and trends to predict the future outcomes and trends. Now, all predictions may be wrong, but some are very useful. This approach looks at several possible futures, and you ascribe probabilities or likelihood of each one occurring. Prescriptive analytics attempts to combine other approaches to find the best course of action for a given situation. A rapidly increasing business analytics is using data visualization tools to allow people to see and interpret trends by looking at graphical representations. Data visualization tools are growing in sophistication quickly and are now usable by most professionals within an organization. The performance dashboard. This slide shows an example of an information dashboard that some managers might use to help visualize their current situation. Now, there's a lot of analytics going on behind this presentation of information. Managers don't necessarily need to know how the data is refined, but it's given that they need to make quick decisions, they may need the information in this type of display that is usually interactive. Now, the primary purpose of this chapter is to point out that modern decision-making in the business setting is getting increasingly complex. Just about every field of interest can benefit greatly from well-organized presentations of accurate information. As the need for capturing and processing data rapidly increases, people are more and more reliant on fast computing resources to help them make good business decisions. Customers are demanding fast responses to change in demand, and companies are becoming more reliant on computing resources to help navigate the rapidly changing environments. It's clear that students need to develop greater understanding of the nature and uses of data in modern business.